All right, everybody, welcome back. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Again, check out this website here, danceofthecosmos.com. That's what I do. My name is Dan Hendricks, and today we are going to be we're going to be continuing our series of understanding the nature, further understanding the nature of the planets by exploring what their nakshatra characteristics are. And today we're going to do the sun. We're going to be looking at the nakshatras of the sun to help us further understand the sun and what the sun indicates and what the sun can represent and the energy that it's bringing forth. But now we're looking at some more subtle aspects of the sun by studying the nakshatras. So let's go ahead and check out the nakshatras here. Okay, so what we're going to see here is first we have Krittika. Krittika, which means razor or cutter, right? So it's chopping, slicing, dicing. I always think of a knife when I think of Krittika. And then we will see that the deity is Agni, which is the deity of fire. And in Ayurveda, we know that Agni is the fire of digestion in the body. And what is digestion? Digestion is basically taking the nutrient or taking the pure food that gets ingested through the body in the stomach and in the small intestine and gets cooked and it gets converted into the nutrients get broken down, the waste matters get separated. So it basically burns, it purifies the food, and it delivers the nutrients to the rest of the body. So it's like gaining the good raw substance that is in that food, that is what we use as fuel to serve the rest of the existence of our body. And digestion is always like that. Agni also exists not just in a physical digestive level, but we have to digest and process emotions, experiences in our lives. Otherwise, we have stored trauma and a lot of problems that come with them. So the whole idea of Agni is being able to purify something, to get rid of the negative qualities and let them pass away and get them filtered off to where they go to be processed, and to take the positive qualities and integrate them into our consciousness. So we can see right here, because when we get down into the Shakti power, we'll see that it's the power to burn. So the main Shakti power of this nakshatra of Krittika is to burn. And the result of this Shakti power is burning or purification. Purification is a very important part of Agni and what the sun is all about. And we'll see here the basis above is heat, and the basis below is light, which are the two qualities, because out of light comes heat, and out of heat arrives light. There's always some kind of waves that are involved in heat. And so, and what we know about this sun here, just through this example, through Krittika and through Agni, the sun here is going to have this power of being able to break something down, but in the sense of purifying it. When we talk about burn, what happens when something's burning? Well, there has to be a fuel source for something to burn, and then there has to be fire that's applied to it. And when it burns, it's releasing its potential, basically, to provide something, because it can't be fuel unless it is flammable, unless it has a potential to burn, because it has something more to offer. And with Krittika, it's like we're able to get that out. We're able to get that purity out, and it's kind of through a pretty intense process, right? Burning, I would hate to know what it's like to be burned alive. And then we'll see that the nature of Krittika this comes from different sources. Here we'll see soft/sharp, mixed, or ordinary. I think what that really gets to the idea, especially with soft, sharp, and mixed, with this nature of a nakshatra, means that it has a tendency to either be a good process or an easy process. And that's why we see soft, where it's just like nice and it's not, and then sharp, where it's just gonna go. And then mixed is similar to that. And then ordinary is the average of the two. And so now let's move on to Uttara Phalguni. Uttara Phalguni. This means later red one. Again, this is the meaning just like when I did the video on Venus with Uttara Phalguni. I don't really know what previous red one. That's obviously something I need to learn. And then we'll see here the deity is Bhaga, which is sun. It says here the sun is bliss. But Bhaga is like he's worshipped. A lot of people worship Bhaga for financial prosperity, for wealth, basically. And also he's known to be like the, he's supposed to bestow marriage. He's like the deity that kind of like presides over marriage also. Which makes a lot of sense because what we're going to see here is the Shakti power of Uttara Phalguni is prosperity or giving of prosperity through union or marriage, which is, and then the Shakti result is the accumulation of wealth. So it's like bringing two things together to get the wealth out of bringing two things together, to prosper from the union of these two different things. And so we'll see here where the basis above is the wealth gained from one's own family, and the basis below is the wealth gained from one's partner and their family. So it's like the resources we get from our partner and the resources our partner and their family and the wealth that we get from our family. And so it's like the mixing and the intermingling of the two. So and when we're talking about wealth, and if this is a subtle energy, so what is this subtle energy all about? What is this telling us about the sun? This tells us that the sun will grant, by bringing two things together, it will grant, it's like getting more from a situation by bringing two things together, right? So if you were a businessman with your moon in, or your sun, or whatever career planet is in Uttara Phalguni, this possibly is a type of business person that is going to look at growing their base of their wealth by bringing two things together, by merging. So maybe it's the type of CEO of a corporation that's going to bring together two smaller companies to make something bigger, and is always looking at that, always being like, what else can I bring together to make more, to create bounty and more. So we can see that about the sun. And then we come finally to Uttarashadha, which means later invincible. This is both these Ashadas are the Purvashadha and Uttarashadha are very strong based Nakshatras. Now, what we see with Uttarashadha, the deity here is Vishvadevas, which is known as the universal gods, because there's kind of two different ways when I was researching Vishvadevas. It's like there's some sources that believe that Vishvadevas is just in general talking about how important it is just to worship all our deities and make offerings to them. And so there's an idea that the Vishvadevas represents like not necessarily the totality of all the deities, but of like the main important. I saw another source that talked about that there's 33, and there's like 11 that are related to Earth, 11 related to space, 11 related to the heavens. And so, anyways, but no matter, and then I saw another one, I think it's from the Puranas, where it's relating to like the 9 Ganadevatas, which are like these like assistant deities. And anyways, so no matter how you cut it, cook it, or slice it, Vishvadevas is multiple deities, multiple devas, which are like the devas were, because you have the devas and the asuras, right? So it's supposed to be like you're worshiping the good gods that are giving. And so what we see here is the Shakti power of Uttarashadha is to grant an unchallengeable victory, and the result becomes unchallenged winner. So this is just this is the energy of just going strong. It's like you've got all of the you're being supported basically by the heavens, by these universal gods, by all the universal gods, and to give you the strength to make it through. Because we'll see here, the basis above is the strength to win and the goal that one can win. And so this is very much about being able to just go forth because you know what it is that you need to do. Like, this is the thing to do. It's because I have the strength to do it, and I know what needs to be won, and I know what I'm going up against. Very much, very charged energy. And we'll see here with Uttara Phalguni and also with Uttarashadha. These are two fixed nature nakshatras, which fixed nature nakshatras means they're going to stay, they're not going to move, they're not going to vacillate from where they're going. They're focused, they're going to go one direction, and it's very not going to be bugged off course very easily. So now, what do we know about the sun? Well, we know that the sun represents like authority figures. The sun's the most prominent thing in the sky. The sun holds our solar system together. We know that the sun is representative, he's a karaka of our body. The sun represents, like what we want. So what it represents in our personality and in our individual lives is what it is that we want to achieve, that we are inspired to do, that is just part of our natural nature that we are actively wanting to pursue. And so we see with, and then we also know from Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, one of the qualities of the sun is that he is pure. And then we see with Krittika that just further refines that concept of the sun is going to go about things to make things better, because we know the sun is sattvic. And we know the sun is looking up. Those are two of the sun's qualities. So the sun's always looking up at what it can achieve, and it's sattvic and it's pure. So it's got this power, this subtle power of Krittika to just go in there and purify the things that need to be made better, that it has to do, that it sees the things that it has to do, that it will go ahead and just burn those to purify it. And then we see with Uttara Phalguni, this another subtle aspect of the sun is going to be that the sun is looking to bring multiple things together to make one. So to provide more wealth, to make something better, to get that one goal that the sun represents, that inspiration that it has, that it's going to look to create things just to make one. And then what we can also see with Uttarashadha is that the sun has a lot of energy and force behind it, and what it's going to go after, it's going to go after it because it knows that what it needs to be done, the goal that can be won, and it's going to get that unchallengeable victory, because it's the one thing that's, when you're inspired to do something and it's your dharma and it's what you're supposed to do, that is unchallengeable. You're going to go get that. So, this is what helps the sun give us the energy to be inspired to follow our dharma. So that's how we can kind of look at these qualities of the nakshatra to further define what we know about the sun. Pretty interesting. So, of course, there's a lot more qualities to these nakshatras. There's a lot more to the definition of what they are that we can add to this discussion. And if you would like to do so, I welcome it. And I would ask for you to just put it in the comments section below and let me know what you think. And let me know what you got. I would love to hear it. And I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And namaste.